Ryan Poles did get a few gifts from Ryan Pace after he took over the Chicago Bears. The obvious one is Justin Fields, but a big part was that half our current secondary was already completed thanks to Jaylon Johnson and Eddie Jackson. But you can't just have two guys controlling the secondary. Not in today's NFL. Ryan Poles in back-to-back off seasons takes defensive back starters in the draft, brought in some extra depth, and also brought in overall a whole new room that I think is the top in the NFL. Eddie Jackson is still under 30 years old. Jaylon Johnson is entering the last year of his rookie contract. It still has one of the best corners in the league, and you have a ton of upscale in Gordan and Jaquan Brisker. This group is top 5. But can they be number 1 in the NFL? I truly think so. Hello, everyone. Go back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Ryan Poles has ramped up the defensive secondary since he has walked into Halas Hall and doesn't have a worry in the world about this group for a long time, considering he has brought in a ton of talent that's going to be here for a minute. I'm going to do a deeper dive into this group of why I think they're so special and why I think that a lot of opposing offenses are going to have a ton of problems thrown against them. Before I begin, please make sure to hit the like button on this video, put your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you haven't already, and if you please could, hit that subscribe button. So let's talk about the veteran, Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson is 29 years old, was drafted in 2017 at the 112th pick out of Alabama by Ryan Pace. He's been in the NFL now for 6 full years, which he's been a 2-time Pro Bowler, a 1-time All-Pro, and he is 6 foot, 206 pounds. In 2022 for Chicago, he played in 12 games, had 4 interceptions, 6 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, 80 total tackles, and 1 tackle for loss. In my opinion, Eddie Jackson was definitely robbed of a Pro Bowl appearance this year. The savvy veteran has been proven to be a ball hawk over his entire career, no matter what defense you put him in. He's a hard-hitting safety who isn't afraid of anybody. He has a huge burst of speed to go after the ball and ball carriers, which I know in years past I've criticized him about his tackling, but this past season he definitely looked like that 2017, 2018 Eddie Jackson. He also has insanely strong ability to read offenses and call out plays, which is why he's such a ball hawk. And he's the veteran that you need in order to grow your younger guys, which the rest of the guys are very young and talented. Speaking of the next veteran, who is only 24 years old, is Jaylon Johnson. Johnson is 24 years old, was drafted in 2020 by Ryan Pace at pick number 50 out of Utah. He's been in the NFL for 3 years, standing at 6 foot, 196 pounds. In 2022 for the Chicago Bears, his season was limited due to injuries, but still played in 11 games where he had 7 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 35 total tackles, and 1 tackle for loss. It's a contract year for Jaylon Johnson, and actually on Tuesday, June 6th was his first day at minicamp/OTAs for the Chicago Bears, which is super exciting to hear. Happy to see him back, and just want to put it out there, he wasn't at OTAs because he was hanging out with his daughter because she lives in California and it's very hard for him to see her. So shout out to Jaylon Johnson for being an awesome dad and knowing that he didn't have to be at Halas Hall and took time to be with family, as the next 5 to 6 months are going to be crazy. But really, it's 8 months because the Bears are going to be playing in February. He is a huge ball hawk that the Chicago Bears have always put him on the best wide receiver on the offensive side of the ball, where he's been absolutely locked down the last couple of years. I mean, I remember when he took on Devontae Adams when they were playing the Green Bay Packers during COVID, and he couldn't do anything against a young Jaylon Johnson. He has only gotten better. And again, he doesn't have any interceptions, but he is in total control of the wide receivers that he is defending. And that's why I think he is so valuable and still one of the top 10 corners in the NFL. Next is Jaquan Brisker, who had an absolutely explosive rookie year out of Penn State. And I'm very excited about this guy. At 24 years old, he was drafted in the 2022 NFL draft at pick number 48 out of Penn State, which means he's been in the NFL for 1 full season. He stands at 6 foot, 200 pounds. Last year in 15 games, he absolutely took the league by storm. I don't know how the NFL wasn't talking about him more as potential defensive rookie of the year, because he played in 15 games, 2 less than what was needed due to injury, 1 interception, 2 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 108 total tackles, 4 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, and 4 quarterback hits. And he led the Bears in sacks last year. That shows how bad the defensive line was, but we're not going to talk about that. Brisker was one of the steals of the draft in 2022, in my opinion. I mean, 108 tackles as a safety is absolutely no joke at all. On top of it being a rookie is just an even different level, and he's only going up from here. This guy gets after the ball, hits hard, has great pursuit, and is only going to get better over time. And I would love to lock him up after the season if he even matches the stats that he had last year, because those are linebacker type tackling numbers. I am super excited about Brisker. I think he's going to do great things for this defense moving forward, and I'm super excited about him. Number 4 is Gordan, who is 23 years old, still young guy, was drafted in 2022 at 39 from Washington. Years pro, only one, obviously, and stands at 6 foot, 190 pounds. In 2022 for the Chicago Bears, he played in 14 games with 3 interceptions, 6 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 71 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and this guy was an absolute athletic freak. It started off a little rough for Gordan. I'm not going to lie. I was a critic of him, but he picked it up insanely over the season in Alan Williams' defense, and he is going to be an absolute problem for opposing offenses, as he is crazy athletic and he's able to fly all over the field and disrupt any play. On top of it, he's now a much stronger tackler. Looks like he bulked up a little bit over the offseason. Great at defending passes and making offenses work around him. The final piece of the puzzle that we think that Ryan Poles brought in was Tryique Stevenson, the 23-year-old out of Miami. He was drafted at number 56 this past season. He is a rookie, standing at 6 foot, 214 pounds. Last year for the Hurricane, he had 11 games played, 2 interceptions, 7 pass deflections, 25 total tackles, and 1.5 tackles for loss. A hard-hitting defensive back that can play both against the run and the pass very well, brings a huge advantage with his athletic ability and pursues runners and throws anybody off anywhere on the field. He has great speed and agility, and that makes it hard for runners to get past him. He's also great at deflecting passes, making opportunities for his teammates, and potentially causing more turnovers. The final guy that I think is going to be super involved in this rotation before I get into the honorable mentions is Terrell Smith. The 23-year-old drafted this past draft at pick number 165 out of Minnesota, is 6 foot, 215 pounds. Last year for Minnesota, he played in 13 games, 2 interceptions, 5 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, 38 total tackles, 2 sacks, and 4.5 tackles for loss. Just putting it out there, he was one of my favorite picks. This dude hits with everything that he's got and puts people on their back wondering what the heck just happened. He could pursue the backfield. He can play zone defense, and he's huge on blitz packages as well, making him an absolute dual threat. He can tackle, block, and take away the ball, and he's going to be a huge rotational guy, if not a starter for the Chicago Bears. Let's go into the 4 honorable mentions that I think is going to complete the room, because teams need a lot of defensive backs. They get injured, unfortunately, a lot, and they're great on special teams. But my first one is going to be Josh Blackwell, a strong seasoned vet who is good on special teams and the rotation. Elijah Hicks, who was Ryan Poles' draft crush in 2022, has a ton of potential, took advantage of playing time last year, and also could be a special teams guy. Jaylon Jones is someone else I want to talk about, someone who had a big season last year with the Chicago Bears. Great for the rotation, great locker room guy, as he's always picking guys up and gets along with everyone very well. And I think not only will he be a special teams threat, but he's going to be a huge defensive rotation threat as well. And finally, I'm going to name him in honorable mentions because I just talked about him. But Kendall Williamson is a big defensive back who's going to be covering big wide receivers that we go against. Could be a strong defensive back and also another special teams guy. Again, call me crazy. I think that this is top 5, if not the best defensive secondary overall, talent-wise and depth-wise for the Chicago Bears. But put your thoughts in the comment section below. I think they're going to take the NFL by storm. But with that, thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Rohde. We'll see you guys next time.